Ileana, Nikki, and Cookie. How are you all doing?
Very
Very well,
well.
thank you.
Very well. Thank you so much.
Super. I'm going to start off with you, Cookie. What drew you to tell the story of a financial thriller?
Actually, I grew up in those times and actually did work at the stock market from 1990, 1991. Like as a really junior guy, my dad threw me in there because he thought that that is where the next big thing will happen. Of course, I suffered. I ran away from it as far as possible at that point of time. Little did I know, 30 years later, I'll be making a film on it. But yeah, I think that the story was very compelling at that time. I remember how we grew up, and my son and my daughter, to tell them what we had been through, in 85, 87. I just thought that today's generation must know the kind of events that have shaped India in what it is today. I think that was the germ. That's where it started from. And when Arjun came and told me this one line, I immediately jumped on it, and then we started writing it. So I think really just to know that in 85, 87, India was broke, and to have that being told to a youngster today, that boss, you didn't have fuel. In the next 3 weeks, there was no fuel. Cars would have stopped in India. I don't think that they would fathom that idea. So I think that that journey was very important.
Well, yes, it does sound like a very exciting story. But from what I know, it's not a biopic of Harshad Mehta. It's inspired by real events and people. So can you tell me, apart from Harshad Mehta, who are the other characters that it's based on?
Well, it's not based on anybody. It's based on those times, rather. The character that we've kind of put together is somebody who's our very own Hemant Shah. And so it's pretty much there's a fictional entire take on it. It's a very dramatized version. It's a feature film, so it has it has everything that kind of makes it a very exciting watch. So we've brought all of that into it. So it's a very, very completely fictional take on those times.
All right. And Abhishek, how did you come on board the film? Were you approached by Cookie, or were you approached by your good friend Ajay Devgan, who's a producer?
Yeah, AJ called me and he said that he had a script which he wanted to produce, which he wanted me to hear. So that's how it all started. Yeah.
Abhishek, I think of you as one of our, very intelligent actors of our time, and I'm sure you knew a little bit about the stock market. So, were you excited by the script, and what did you bring to the table?
You almost sound apologetic about saying that you.
I'm not an actress.
Actors are intelligent people. I think you all have for far too long dumbed us down. Yes, no, I've been very interested in the stock market. I invest a little bit as well, and so it's not an area which is alien to me. I was pretty comfortable. Yeah.
And if a Guru, you've done some, and I'm sorry for bringing up Guru, but there are some similarities, such as they are self-made businessmen who've come from rags to riches. Do you see similarities there, Abhishek?
I think that's pretty much the only similarity.
Okay. So did that help you? Did having done Guru help you in this role?
Character trait, determination to achieve their goals. But yeah, that would be it. Yeah.
I remember for Guru, you'd done some physical prep. I famously remember you'd eaten a Mysore Pak to gain some weight. Did you do some physical prep for this character as well?
क्या बोले यार, अजीब लगता है ना कि मैंने इतने किलो, What do you think? Have you seen the trailer?
Yes, I think yes. I think you have. Yeah, I think there is some.
Yeah. So I think every actor does whatever possible to make the character believable. And Cookie and I, when we used to sit down and discuss this character several years ago, when we decided to make the film, there was a certain physicality to him that we saw, and we tried to achieve that. So yeah, it feels a bit awkward, no? That I ate this and I ate that. I mean,
It's
they
interesting.
should. Yeah, we put on a little bit of weight for the film because Cookie was very keen that we show a certain progression in him physically as and when he starts achieving his goals and obviously becomes richer. So from the way he grooms himself to the way he dresses, to his gait, to his walk, we wanted everything to gradually open up and become bigger and wider, which kind of symbolized a certain confidence in him, and a little bit of weight as well, which we had to balance precariously because we weren't shooting the film in a linear manner. We do show at the start of the film where he starts off from, where he's trying to get a career put together, and then show a progression from there. So these are all these elements that we worked on. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's all about making the whole world more believable.
Well, you said you knew about the stock market, but I'm sure doing a film like this, you would have surely been a learning process. So did you learn anything new about the stock market that you're now putting to use?
No, not that, that now I'm putting into use. I think there's some more exterior things that you learn. I mean, for example, there's a scene which was a very memorable moment for me, where my character goes to the stock exchange. He's somehow snuck into the stock exchange when he's first starting off to try and get a foothold into that whole thing. And now he's this very empowered, rich, influential figure. And he walks into the stock exchange and starts off the trading because all the traders are waiting in the ring to see what's he going to do. And he tells them to start trading. And I remember the energy when I did that gesture, which is the gesture to start trading and to buy. That is when this entire ring, which had several hundred, junior artists who just jumped up and started screaming, and the trading started. And I get goosebumps talking about it right now. And I just remember that energy hitting me. And when we finished that, Cookie came up to me and said, "Sir, everybody who's a junior artist was actually a broker and a trader from the ring who'd been working in the stock exchange in the 80s and the 90s. And there were all these elderly gentlemen who, after the shoot, were so emotional because when I walked into the set, we have this vision of what the stock exchange is. We've seen photographs of all these electronic boards and mobile phones and etc. It's a very high-tech place. And I walked into this set and, Cookie had been building it up there. We're shooting in the ring and we're recreating it. I'm like, okay, cool, here we go. And it was literally a tin shed. And I said, has our budget been cut? What's going on? It's literally just a tin shed. And that's when he told me, because he had worked over there, he said that's what it actually was back then. It was literally just 4 walls and a tin shed. And that's where they should trade. And today, now we have this proper built, trading floor and ring, and there all these boards all over the place. But at that point, I was so basic. So just to see, life, the way it's changed and grown has been very interesting for me from learning about that world. But what have I learned back then that I can implement now? Nothing in that, so to speak, in that sense.
I love the way you described that scene, and I'm really curious to see that scene now. And Ileana, you play the role of a journalist in the 80s and 90s. So how did you do your research for that? And also, I see you have a lot of face-offs with Abhishek on screen. How is his energy as a co-actor when you do those scenes?
I feel like I'm disappointing people when I say that I didn't do any research at all. And I feel that, when the writing is so strong and so solid, that there's no real need to do any research. And I kind of just made the character my own. And Cookie gave me that freedom to sort of, experiment with her and sort of play her the way I understood her. And he guided me through it all. So it was a really immensely tricky character to play. It was difficult for sure. There are a lot of face-offs. And that was a very unusual moment for me, honestly. and kind of gave me a lot of respect, for journalists, considering that the work they do and the positions that they're put in when they're interviewing people was very unusual to take the other side. Abhishek as a co-star was definitely not what I expected. I still remember the first day on set. I don't know if he remembers. We were shooting in Delhi, I think, and I walked in on set, and I'd met him a few times before socially, but this was, the first day on set. And I walk in, and he's sitting behind the monitor, very serious, looking at his phone. And it was a very intense scene. So I was like, oh, maybe he's learning his lines. Maybe I shouldn't interrupt him. And I sat down next to him, and I think 5 minutes later, I'm like, maybe I should just say hello. So I was like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, hi. So I was like, I don't want to interrupt. It looks like you're busy. And he's like, oh, I'm just playing Candy Crush. I don't know what you would play. Were you play Candy Crush or something?
No, ball breaker. Ball breaker. I don't play Candy Crush. Come on.
Ball breaker. Okay, well, something of that sort. I don't know. But it was just, it gave me a little insight into the person that he is. And I'm like, all right, so maybe I shouldn't take him way too seriously. It's not as serious as I thought he was. He's super chill on set, and it's something that I kind of envy a little bit, that he's so unaffected, by things that are happening. I don't think I've ever seen him overly angry or emotional unless the scene expected that from him. But off screen, he's pretty chill and very easygoing.
Well, Nikita, do you have the same to say about Abhishek? You play, of course, his romantic partner in the film. So did you see a different side of Abhishek than Ileana did, who had to do the face-offs with him?
No, actually, she's quite right with describing him. The only one thing I would add is that I think one thing that he loves doing in the middle of shots is tell stories. So if even Cookie must remember, it's like anytime there was a break or the shots being set, like a bunch of people used to just gather to like listen, what is he saying? Because his stories are generally quite interesting. So yeah, apart from
They're
whatever.
generally quite interesting. And then sometimes, how are they?
I said mostly. No, they are damn interesting. No, otherwise he's always also busy pulling everybody's leg. Yeah. Especially me. I think I was also a victim to that, but he doesn't leave anybody on set that way.
All right. And, from the trailer and from the songs, Cookie, I see you've been very faithful to the authenticity of the 80s and 90s in recreating that era. So tell me a bit about that process.
Because I had obviously experienced it and lived through it and seen things and worked at the market itself, I kind of obviously had an idea of what it looked like. Luckily, my team also was very good. We had a great VFX team because there was a lot of VFX that was required. We had a good production designer. We had a very good DOP. So I think as a complete unit, we all kind of pooled in. They all pooled in and obviously helped put my vision out there in the best way possible. But yeah, the thing is that because I had seen it, I actually wanted it exactly like that. And that I think got to them a bit, and I kind of drove them to get that right, including the body language of the actors and everything. I think that in the 80s, we all lived a little different life. As a country, the kind of confidence that we had was nothing like what you see today. The youngsters didn't behave like the way they do behave today. There was a very, very different kind of a vibe. So we tried our level best to kind of bring that onto the screen for everybody to kind of relive or experience who have not lived those years, what we kind of went through when we went through 80s and 90s. So yeah, that was pretty much.
All right, I'm looking forward to catching that vibe. Thank you so much for joining me, and good luck for the big book. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye.